mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about Season 2, Episode 2 of HBO's The White Lotus, entitled Italian Dream. The title of this episode revolves around Tanya's plotline. She wants to have her Italian dream day with Greg, and he gives it to her before dropping a bit of a bombshell on her and us at the end of the episode. But before I get into that, I want to start by, again, imploring you guys to follow me on social media at One Mic Network on Twitter, as you can see on the chyron below, and also Facebook. You can just search One Mic, and that's where I'm going to be putting news and stuff that I'm not making videos for. So if you want to know what's going on with me, that's where I'm going to put it. And also I live tweet fights over the weekend. So if you're a fight fan, you can watch fights with me on the Twitter page on the weekends. And also if you subscribe to the Patreon at the $1 here, so the very minimum one, you can get my Fight Talk episodes that I put out monthly where I talk about mainly MMA. So before I get started real quick, I want to shout out the patrons: Delvin Cox, Brett Factual, Dez, Justin Smith-Williams, Brian Turner, Dancing Lights, Margaret Moffett, Esther Blount, and Adam Weiss. So whenever I cover a Sunday show, I spend my morning commute kind of like reflecting on it. I did it with House of the Dragon. I do it with this one. I have a fairly long commute, like taking my kids to school and whatnot, and it gives me time to kind of reflect on these episodes before I come and talk to you guys about it. And I decided that this is the kind of show that I think is most easily covered if I broke it down by like character groupings. So that's how I'm going to cover this show going forward for this season. I think it's only like 6 or 7 episodes, so we're not going to be here for a long time. But just for future reference, I'm going to tell you guys what the groupings are, and then we'll get into talking about it. So the first grouping is going to be the DeGrasso family. That's obviously Bert, Dom, and Albie. I'll probably include Lucia and Mia in this grouping as well. If they develop their own kind of like separate storyline / plot line that I think is worth talking about, I'll separate them into another group. But right now, as their affiliation is mainly tied to Dom, I'm going to group them in with that grouping. And then we have the couples, which is Cameron and Daphne, and Harper and Ethan. And then the Tanya plot line, which I'm going to have Tanya, Greg, and Portia in that for now. Obviously, Portia might float back and forth and get mentioned in the DeGrasso section as well. But that's how I'm going to do it for now. And then we'll see if it ends up branching out or something like that. But it's not a ton of episodes, so I doubt that it will. So I'm going to start with Tanya's plot line since it ties into the episode title. Like I said at the top, she wants an Italian dream kind of day that involves living the life of Monica Vitti, who I looked up. Monica Vitti was a famous Italian actress in the 60s, beautiful woman. She did more serious work. Then she went to comedic work, but she won a ton of awards, all that kind of stuff. So a good person to model herself after. She wants to do this Monica Vitti life, taking pictures in fancy Italian clothes, renting a Vespa, riding around on it, having a nice dinner with pasta, all this good stuff. I was kind of surprised, though, that the episode title revolved around the Tanya plotline, because it was probably the least interesting or entertaining of the storylines here. But you know, there's this weird bit where Tanya is squeezing Greg too tightly while they're riding the Vespa, and then she gets like this big bug in her mouth and she starts over coughing and all this kind of stuff. And I thought this scene was weird because I think it was supposed to be funny, but Greg was saying he can't breathe while he's awkwardly like wiggling around on this Vespa, and she's coughing so hard to the point where she's like convulsing almost. And I'm just like, I was worried they were gonna crash and get seriously injured. And once the scene was over, I'm like, I guess that was supposed to be played for laughs. I just don't find potentially dying in a Vespa crash to be funny, but I guess that's just me. But I mean, I think this dynamic though kind of plays into why I felt it during season 1, and I still feel it now, why this show just doesn't fully resonate. Like, it just doesn't quite turn around. This hand motion means it doesn't just quite turn around. I don't know what that really means, but it just doesn't fully work for me. And I think it's because this style of show and this style of humor just doesn't resonate with me, and these people, the characters in this show, don't resonate with me. I said it last week. I'm like, these people don't seem real to me. And the humor doesn't land with me because I think of these people in these situations and they just don't connect with me. I don't understand them. And like, I feel like these people aren't real. I feel like none of these situations are real. It just feels strange. Where, like I said last week, I feel like there are people who watch this show and are like, I know people like that. And I'm watching it like, who the fuck are these creative character motherfuckers that just cannot be real, right? For instance, when Tanya is taking the pictures in front of the Vespa and she asks Valentina, she's like, who am I? And Valentina's like, Peppa Pig. And it's like, on one hand, I could see how that's funny. But on the other hand, that's such an unbelievably mean thing to say to someone. And like she called her, like she basically called her fat pig. Like, what the fuck? And it's like, that's such a terrible thing to say to somebody, especially when the character who's saying it is someone who treats their staff like shit the whole time too. And it's just like rich people being cruel to one another as a comedic device. It just does not work for me. And this show leans into that real fucking hard, man. Like the idea that rich people being shitty is funny. I could not feel more of the opposite. And like I said, like part of me chuckled like Peppa Pig, but then a larger part of me was like, fuck, that was mean. Like even on like I think if it had been any other pink character, it would have just been funny. But like the fact that it's Peppa Pig and it even has pig in the title, it's like, it just seems like it goes beyond just like cracking on somebody. And like that just, I don't know. I think that's the best example of why I feel like this show is just not, it just doesn't come all the way around for me, whatever that means. But once Greg and Tanya arrive at dinner, Greg drops the bombshell that he's going to Denver the next day. I think he makes it sound like a work thing. And this causes an intriguing fight because the two of them throw very valid shots at one another in this argument. Tanya says, you don't even like me. And I mean, that's been shown to be true. He's treated her like shit in these first 2 episodes. And I like that because even though like 90% of the time Tanya comes off like very ditzy and unaware, that shows that she is in fact very perceptive because he does not like her. And that is very clear and very obvious. And even though she seems like she don't get it, she does. And then Greg says that she discards people. And he's like, so how am I even going to know if the two of us are going to stay together? And he mentions like previous assistants that she's fired. And if you think back to season 1, remember how she did, I can't remember her name, but Natasha Rothwell's character that had the massage thing going on. And she's like, oh yeah, I want to help you get your own massage business because it'd be a shame if everybody can't experience these phenomenal massages you do. And then when she finally comes up with the business plan and is like, yo, let's make this happen, Tanya like brushes her off. So it's like she does have a history of discarding people. And then, right on cue, he's like, you discard people. She's like, I hate you, I'm leaving. Like, okay, well, if I was Greg, I'd have been like, see? See how you discard people? But, later she wakes up in the middle of the night and she sees Greg out on the balcony or patio on the phone. And he's saying, I'll be home soon. I love you. It sounds like he's talking to like a wife or something, but he's married to Tanya, so I don't know. But I don't know. It sounds like he's talking to like a family. But so what I want to do is when I talk about these groupings of people, I kind of want to like end each section in theories. And what's up with Greg? Like this is my theory section for the Tanya thing. My first question: he was outside. He was talking softly. Tanya was on the inside looking through a window. Are we meant to believe that she heard what he was saying? That's a very important point, and it was very unclear in that moment. I need to know if she heard what he said, or are we the only ones that know that he has someone he's in love with that he's talking to secretly? But yeah, like what's his deal? Like he's not interested in her. He's leaving presumably to be with another woman. He also mentions at dinner this prenup. He's like, well, we got a prenup. So, if you leave, what's going to happen? And that was a strange thing to bring up in that moment because it made me wonder if he married her for the money and that's why he's treating her so badly now, because now he's stuck in a marriage that he doesn't want to be in, that he only entered into because she has money, but then she made him sign a prenup so he won't get that money. He'll leave with what he brought in when, if they break up. So now I'm wondering if he's treating her like this because he's pissed off that he's now stuck in a marriage he doesn't want to be in, and that he can't get half of her money if he divorces her, which I'm wondering if it was his play. But then I also wonder if there's a life insurance policy, maybe, because we know this show likes to kill people. So, like, I wonder if there's a life insurance policy, and then maybe Greg would cash out that way. But, you know, just a theory. Let me know what you guys think about what's up with Greg in the comments. Moving on to the DeGrasso family, Bert really presses Dom to a point of like, might have to hit you in the face if you keep talking about this shit, Dad, on why his family's not there in front of Portia. That's the part that irritates me. If the three of them were together, Bert, Dom, and Albie, and he's constantly pressing them on it, cool. But in front of company, like, I guess that's cool in the Italian culture. In the black culture, that'll get you fucked up. Like, why? What are you doing? And he's pressing and pressing and pressing, and it's just strange to want to talk about that kind of topic in front of company. It's really strange. But I forgot to mention this was in front of Portia because Portia was with them. Because even when she leaves the resort altogether, she still can't escape eating around Tanya and Greg. But Bert makes it, again, on top of constantly bringing this shit up, he makes it even worse because he does this like couldn't be me kind of vibe. Like, yo, I could do anything to my wife. His mom, I could have done anything and she would still come on a vacation. So I don't know what the fuck you did, but I got game like that. My wife wouldn't play me like that. And like, it's so obnoxious and it's so just, I was gonna say unprofessional, but not unprofessional because they're not at work. It's just, it lacks class and dignity to talk about that topic in front of company like that. But hey, at least he wasn't farting. So we find out that I was in fact mostly right. You know, I said Dom might have had a sex addiction, but I think I said that he might also have a thing for young girls, which I mean he still clearly does. But I was right about the sex addiction. I meant like underage girls. Like he might have, that might be an issue for him, which it still might. But we do find out that he does have a sex addiction that's caused him to cheat on his wife multiple times, according to Albie. And this last time, I guess, was the deal breaker. And he seems to want to try to fix his marriage. You know, Lucia, he gives Lucia and Mia keys to his apartment, to his room, him and his father's room. I'll talk about that in a moment. But I'm gonna talk about that now. And I'll come back to him trying to fix his marriage. But he gives Lucia and Mia keys to his room and his father's room. And that's such a bad idea that I can't imagine it's going to do anything other than make things worse. But the convo in which this happened was another really strange conversation that, again, it's one of those things where I can't wrap my head around this conversation because I would not engage or entertain a conversation of this type. Like, Valentina was way overstepping in her incredibly intrusive line of questioning about what Dom's intentions were with wanting these women to be here. And like he said, like when he first brought it up, I thought all he was trying to convey was like, yo, when they try to come in, just don't give them shit. Very simple ask, like, let them go. They're coming to visit me. It's cool. I'm cool with it. Let it go. And she's like, we got to add them to the room. And I'm just like, what? Why you got to add them to the room? And again, behavior that just doesn't resonate with me. And I'm wondering if this incredibly invasive and intrusive conversation is, again, and I'm like, is this meant to be funny? Because all I'm thinking in this conversation is like, look, I said to add them to the room, shut the fuck up, and get ladies to move on. Like, this is not like, how much is he paying to stay at this place? And he's getting asked if they're gonna sleep in the bed with him. Mind your fucking business. Like, so I'm just like, what is up with these people? Why is he even entertaining this conversation? And then I'm thinking like, okay, well, he successfully gets them added to the room, and I'm like, bad idea. And then they're like, so when are we gonna get our keys? I'm like, wait, what? You're getting keys? Like, I didn't know you were gonna get keys. Like, did he know they were gonna get keys? Why would he agree to that? But I think he did, because he's like, he even says like, don't go crazy, get dinner, whatever. So he knew that he was essentially allowing them to stay there while he was gone and allowing them to charge stuff to his room, which, I mean, if I was, it's one thing to tell Valentina, like, look, I know, we both know who they are. They're going to be coming to visit me it's unspoken but known what's gonna happen here. Be chill about it and let them in. That's one thing. Giving them keys to your room and allowing them to charge stuff to it is a whole different one. So yeah, really bad decision making on Dom's part. And now I'm gonna go back to what I was saying earlier about him wanting to fix his marriage. Lucia comes up to his apartment later, and she's like, hey, I just want to thank you for our great day. And he's like, no. He's like, I'm gonna try to chill. This sex thing is way out of hand for me. And then she brings Mia in, and I can't help but feel like that night might not be the best time to work on your sex addiction. Maybe you put it off to tomorrow and allow the sex addiction to flourish for the last time in this moment. And presumably that's what happens. But yeah, when it's one thing if you're like, okay, I'm gonna turn down Lucia. This is really hard, but I'm gonna do it. And then she's like, oh, but I brought Mia too. It's like, you know what? Fuck, I can be fixed tomorrow. It's fine. Come on, come in. But them having keys, I'm moving on to the theories now. Them having keys to Dom's room and Bert's room is gonna go left, but how? Is one of them gonna mistakenly have some sort of inappropriate sexual contact with Bert? He's so horny all the time. Is he gonna do something with one of them? Albie, I'm unsure about Albie. He seems almost too good for this family, and I can't figure out his character's angle. And when I mean his character's angle, I mean like what the show has planned for him, not what Albie the character has planned for himself. I think he's genuine and doesn't want to be anything like his father and grandfather, but this doesn't feel like the kind of show to see us through to and through a healthy relationship. So I don't know, but I don't know. Albie seems too good to be true for this family and for this show. I don't know. And then lastly, I want to talk about the couples, because I think the couples are the most interesting storyline by far in this season. And I think there's something of a role reversal we're building toward here. And I find that to be pretty compelling. So, and I'll get to that in a moment. But I want to start with just kind of like laying out what happened with the couples here. Harper ends up in a situation that all of us introverts dread. Like the idea of, I want to sit alone and just like read or listen to something and chill and eat my food. And then over the top, loud and obnoxious, nosy person who's intrusive and won't leave me alone decides they have to interject themselves into my time. And she goes over and agrees to sit with him, which I would not have done that. Like I'd have made up an excuse. Something. I'm not gonna let anybody dictate the quality of my vacation. If I'm on vacation and obnoxious ass Cameron and Daphne are like, hey, come over here. We love to eat breakfast in groups. I'm like, well, I don't, and I'm on vacation. So you enjoy yourself. I'm going to go back to my room so you don't have to see me ignoring you, but we're good. It's not happening. So it couldn't be me. Just like Bert. Couldn't be me. I'm not doing that. I'm going to put my foot down. You ain't fucking up my vacation by making me spend it with extroverts. Fuck that. But she finds out in this conversation that they don't fight. And Daphne says, what is there to fight about anyway? And like initially that kind of came off. Like I feel like you can read that comment two ways. One, their life is too good to have anything to fight about, which is how I read it at first. Or it could be that they're just so good with each other that they don't have anything to fight about, at least at this point in their marriage. And that really seems to bother Harper. And she brings it up to Ethan after she catches him jerking off, which like, that was such a wild thing to do in that moment. Like, he has no idea when Harper is going to come back. And he just breaks out his laptop and drops his drawers right in front of the hotel room door. Like the door entering into the hotel room. He's right in front of that. And like, you couldn't take your laptop in the bathroom or something. That is a true lack of fucks to give if you are willing to jerk off right in front of a hotel room door with the knowledge that your wife could appear and walk through it at any moment, perhaps with company or while people are walking by. Like, man, he didn't give a fuck. He was getting that nut. And that is wild to me. Like, I've never seen no determination to get a nut like that. Like, he could have did it in the shower. I don't know. Every way to get a nut was better than what he was doing. I'll put it that way. But we find out in this scene that they don't have morning sex because Harper doesn't like it. She's not a morning person. and they don't have night sex because Ethan is too tired. And Cameron makes the connection that I made, was like, okay, I guess y'all don't fuck then, which is, I'm not gonna judge, but hey, whatever. But she offers to help him finish, and he's like, no, I'm good. And then I'm just gonna take a shower, and then he takes there's no definition of shower that is what he did. Like, he got in there naked and he got under the water, but he ain't take a shower. Like, he put something in his hands, went like this, and then got out. What the fuck was that? Like, after a run, my guy? Oh my goodness. Man, like that. I'm speechless on that shower. That shower was a hot ass mess. Literally, it's probably a hot ass mess. But Harper mentions to him in this moment that Cameron and Daphne don't fight, and she does it very judgmentally. And he makes a point that maybe she's threatened by them, which I think is very clearly the case. And this is, I think, an interesting point, because from day one, Harper has been judging Cameron and Daphne and acting like she's better than them because they're, in her mind, these uppity, out-of-touch rich people who are like just vapid and only care about pointless and meaningless things. And she's better than them because she's a down-to-earth person who reads and cares about politics and is aware of everything going on in the world and all of this kind of shit. But like, let's take a look at Harper real quick, because I got some stuff written down here on Harper that I want to discuss. And let's ask ourselves, who's really the rich douchebag here? Rich, out-of-touch douchebag. Like, she judges them about never fighting, but then quickly comes to the realization that her and Ethan may not be as happy of a couple as she thinks they are. And conversely, that Cameron and Daphne, their relationship is probably in much better condition than her relationship. And their lack of sex comes up at dinner, and Cameron tells this touching story about how Daphne had to have this C-section, and he's like, her guts are on the table. And I love the way he says, like, they're digging for the baby in her stomach, like she would dig for something in her purse. Like, and he looks moved, and this shows some complexity in him, some maturity, that he's not just all rich douchebag. And I think it's in this moment that Harper realizes she might be wrong. She came in there thinking she was better than them because she doesn't live this rich person vapid existence, only to find out that the reality is that they're happy in their rich, vapid existence. And as knowledgeable as she is with her books and her politics and knowing everything that's going on with the world, her husband jerks off right in front of the fucking hotel room door because there's no other way he's gonna get a nut. And it's like, who's really the ones that are living the complicated, not so great life? Like, is it them or is it you? So another point about Harper almost, to me, kind of seems to be projecting. There's a scene where she says, I bet they're talking shit about me right now, how terrible I am. And they cut to it, and they cut to Cameron and Daphne, and they're just like having a good time, being goofy, trying on clothes, having a good time. And they're enjoying their vacation while Harper is talking shit about them. So if they were to be like, yo, Harper's kind of a bitch, like, I bet you Harper's talking shit about us right now, they'd be right. Whereas Harper was not. And, she keeps saying this, everything that's going on with the world thing. And that comes off so douchey, because it's like she's trying to rub it in their faces that she keeps up with world news and and what's going on in the world affects her life decisions, when the reality is that Cameron and Daphne are too busy enjoying their lives to wallow in misery with her. So it's like, it very much feels like Harper is projecting onto them her perception of what they should be like. And not only are they're kind of that, but not completely. She's realizing that they're a little bit more three-dimensional than that. But then she's also realizing that she is projecting onto them a life that she's living. Like, she's the one who's living this weird kind of rich person existence where all she does is wear these fancy fucking bathing suits and read her books with her sunglasses on and judge other people, talk shit about them behind their backs. To me, Harper's the one sounding like the rich douchey couple. So I think it's very interesting, I think, what the show is doing with the couples, and I'm really intrigued to see where they go. A couple of theories on that. I think as Harper gains a modicum of respect for Cameron and envies their happiness and and his happy penis, that she's gonna start to flirt with him. When he talks to her in the water after, grabbing her leg and doing the whole shark thing, he's all playful, and you can tell she kind of enjoyed it. And she's probably, again, thinking in her back of her mind how much she liked looking at his dick. And he says he wants her to like him. And she's like, you know, I do. And I don't know how genuine he is in that desire of wanting her to like him. But I think it would be interesting if he didn't really have any bad intentions at all and was just a regular kind of like oblivious guy. And he didn't actually mean anything by getting naked in front of her. And then she tries to put the moves on him. And he's like, yo, wait. I don't know what you thought was going on here, but I love my wife. Like, this is not that. And Ethan is my guy. Like, I'm not going to fuck his wife. Like, that'd be interesting, I think, if Harper ends up becoming the bad guy here and Cameron is like, yo, I'm not about that life. That'd be really interesting. So I want to close with a couple of quick thoughts. It seemed to me like Greg saw Portia at breakfast and he didn't make a big deal out of it. But what was interesting was that the show didn't make a big deal out of it either. Greg didn't even bring it up when they talked about this. And I'm like, did he not see her? And if he did, why didn't he bring it up? And if it's not a big enough deal for him to bring it up after he sees her, why did the show make a big deal of it prior to this? Like constantly showing Portia in the same place as them. I don't know. I'm just wondering what angle they're going at with the Tanya's supposed to be in her room, but every time she leaves out of it, she ends up at the same restaurant as them. And then lastly, one thing that I have to just rain praises down on this show over is the scenery. The shots that we saw during Ethan's run at the beginning were gorgeous. And like, you know, as much as I love the use of like the volume for like the Mandalorian and stuff like that, it looks really cool. You can't really top actually taking your cast to these exotic locales and filming these like drone shots of sweeping across mountains. Like you see it on Succession a lot too. I love looking at that shit. And that's the aspect of rich life that I'm envious of, is being able to travel to places like that. And being able to have can you imagine that's your jog, is that view? Like, man, incredible. But that's all I got for this episode. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and I will see you guys next week for episode 3. And until then, peace.